So in Schoology, you will find a set of notes for UV visible spectroscopy and Beer's law. You're always welcome to take your own. You know the drill. Okay. So for UV visible spectroscopy, there is a supplemental reading in Schoology. So this isn't in our textbook anywhere, but before you do the summary and questions, I would say take a look and skim/read that supplemental reading about UV visible spectroscopy and Beer's law. Okay. So UV visible spectroscopy, we've talked about lots of other kinds of spectroscopy this year. UV visible spectroscopy is used to answer the following questions. How do we explain the colors of solutions? And how do we know the concentration of colored solutions? So if a solution has a color, like our copper 2 sulfate pentahydrate solution had yesterday as we were working with stuff, what we know is that molecules and electrons can absorb light in the ultraviolet or visible part of the spectrum. Okay, when they absorb those, they absorb some of the wavelengths, those colors go away, and they transmit some wavelengths. Those are the colors we see or detect. Okay, so for example, if I have a blue object and we have white light coming in at it, white light is made of all of the different colors of visible light. And if it's a blue object, the object will absorb wavelengths that are all of the other colors except for blue. That blue color of wavelength will actually reflect off of it, and we see that object as being blue, or it's absorbed and re-emitted, transmitted as blue. Same thing happens with all of our other kinds of colored objects as well. Solutions work the same way. They absorb wavelengths primarily in the ultraviolet and visible spectrum, and they absorb some and they let some go through or get transmitted. Okay. So UV visible spectroscopy works like this. Okay, light from a range of UV visible wavelengths is passed through a reference and then through a sample. And a comparison of those two gives a measurement of the absorbance at different wavelengths of the sample. All right, so here's our sample. It's got some color. Here's our reference, so it's sort of our null. And what we're going to do, go ahead and do is we send light through the reference and through our sample. Now the light that we send through is turned into one single color by a device called a monochromator, and you get one color of light going through. And then we run and we change those wavelengths through a filter or something like that over and over and over again, and you run all of the different wavelengths of light through the sample and through the reference. And then you see what sample or what wavelengths of light got absorbed by the sample. Okay, and so some wavelengths will be absorbed very highly and some not as much. Okay, this particular sample is going to absorb wavelengths that make it appear this pinkish reddish color. Depending upon the molecule, an ideal absorption wavelength is chosen. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is, depending upon what our solution or a molecule is, we go ahead and we try to figure out what wavelength we should use. Okay, so we run absorbance across the wavelength spectrum. So we run all of the different wavelengths. We change the colors and see what does this solution actually absorb. Okay, the best absorber will actually be a complementary color of whatever the solution appears to be. So if it's a red solution, it's most likely going to be that we end up with a green absorber, right? So it's absorbing whatever's opposite of that, which is sort of a combination of all of the other light that's involved. Okay, so the best absorber will be a complementary color. The second thing is the absorbance needs to be less than 1.0 at a max. Sometimes we get a little bit higher than that, but the absorbance needs to be less than 1.0 for there to be good data. So if you run through and your absorbance ends up being higher than this, you either higher than 1, you either choose a different wavelength, or if you can't do that very easily, what you can do is you can dilute your solution down, lowering the concentration, and therefore it will absorb less. Now, what gets absorbed, or the absorbance, is governed by Beer's law, which is the Greek letter epsilon, B, and C, where A is the absorbance, Epsilon is the molar absorptivity coefficient, which is constant for any specific molecule. Sort of, it's a constant measurement of how well does a molecule absorb light. Okay. B is the path length of the light, which is constant for any spectrophotometer. It's, in other words, how far has the light traveled through the material. Okay. And C is the concentration of the analyte, the concentration of whatever's in there. Higher the concentration, the bigger C is. Lower the concentration, the less C is. All right? So you go ahead and you choose a particular absorbance that is less than 1, maybe there or maybe over here, to go ahead and be your analyzing wavelength. Okay, your analyzing wavelength. So sigma is constant for a given molecule. B is constant for a spectrophotometer. So in the end, A equals EBC is a linear equation relating absorbance to concentration. Okay, so in other words, A is proportional to C. Okay. So as you increase the concentration, more light gets absorbed. Okay, this is very handy then, because now you have generated a curve using multiple known concentrations. Okay. The sample of concentrations can be tested for absorbance at a chosen wavelength. So again, more absorbance is higher concentration. And we can then find any unknown concentration by measuring and then using the line or the linear equation. So if we make a whole bunch of solutions of this at different concentrations, we can generate our Beer's law line or curve. And then if we have one of these that we don't know the concentration of, we can measure its absorbance and then figure out the concentration from that, right? So in other words, when we're doing UV VIS spectroscopy, there are always two parts. Part 1 is determining the wavelength, the ideal wavelength to analyze our sample. Number 2 is to generate the Beer's law line. And again, we do that by making solutions that we know the concentration of, measuring their absorbance, and then plotting the points. And then, of course, 3, we can then use this on an unknown.